I just want to get into the specifics of why Harris. We know you don't want the president to run for re-election, think he should drop out, but why would it be Harris rather than, say, a Newsom or a Whitmer?
Well, I think if you look at the issues that we're having right now, first, as you already mentioned, a lot of people are the double haters, right? They don't want Trump. They don't want Biden. I think we provide a generational change candidate with Kamala Harris that could appeal to a lot of those voters. In some of those polls, you saw her increases with independent voters, too. So she's got some appeal there. I think if you look at our base voters, where we're really struggling, soft support among the minority communities, whether black or brown, she would juice our base turnout up. We've been bleeding young people. She would resonate with young people because of the generational change, and I think just her personality and who she is. I campaigned a lot with her in 2020 in Iowa and New Hampshire. She's got a lot of appeal to young people. So I think those things give us an opportunity.
Right.
And lastly, I'm up from Youngstown, Ohio. Like, I think she could come into union halls and do pretty well. She's so likable when you meet her in person. And
so which states would she win then that Biden wouldn't? Right now, what specific states do you think?
Well, you're looking at the polling today. You see Biden's down 6 or 7 points in like Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin. Right. I think she would do very well in those states.
She would win those three? I mean, the Democrats have to win those three, right, to win, don't you think?
I think so. Yeah, I think she would have a heck of an opportunity to win those. I mean, you look at one of our problems with the Senate race in Wisconsin was turnout in Milwaukee. I don't think we would have a turnout in Milwaukee problem in Wisconsin. I don't think we would have a turnout in Philadelphia problem in Pennsylvania, Detroit. So I think she juices the base. We're right back in the game, pull young people into the fold, and then go at these working class voters, which I think she would have a lot of appeal to them.
It's interesting. It seems like a different conversation about the vice president that people would have been having even, a week ago or so. There's so much skepticism even among Democrats. I mean, even among Democrats, they said, if we have to turn to Kamala Harris, she's less popular than the president, that kind of thing. I don't know if you saw the Wall Street Journal editorial board. I thought it was interesting here, saying who's afraid of Kamala Harris. Seemed like their point that they were trying to make in this piece is that the Democrats, people are floating stories about Kamala Harris because they want to kind of scare people and they want to help Joe Biden. You see, that seems to be part of the emerging Team Biden game plan to stem the Democratic panic about having Mr. Biden at the top of the ticket. Theme, go with Joe or you'll get Kamala. Talking about the reports this week saying a Biden aide told donors their money would go to Ms. Harris and Mr. Biden dropped out. That was meant as a threat, not a promise. What would you say to that?
Well, I got enough gray hair on my head to kind of remember people saying that about Ronald Reagan. We want to run against Reagan. How many Democrats are saying, we want to run against Trump? People don't really understand the dynamics of a race. She comes in with 4 months, has a very disciplined campaign. You go back to her record in California where she was tough on crime. I think she gets Democrats back into the law and order spot where we need to be. I think she got her hands cuffed when she went down the border. I think she wanted to do a lot more tougher things down there on immigration.
Well, that's what the Republicans would hit her on. That's what they would hit her on, Congressman, the border stuff. And that would be, how would she respond to that?
Well, I think I'm sure she had different recommendations, and the administration didn't act. I mean, we all were advocating for the president to do something, and I'm sure she was too. So that'll get clarified. I don't know all the details, but we'll certainly find out. But again, juicing everybody up. And then when you look at the accomplishments around the infrastructure bill, Inflation Reduction Act, we have reindustrialized the country. That's irrefutable. And she was a part of that. So she got the manufacturing piece. She can hit the pro-choice piece hard, I think, with women across the country, and especially in these swing districts. And I do think she would help the House and the Senate races as well.
And real quick on the debate stage with Trump, you mentioned as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think she's a prosecutor. I mean, she was a DA in San Francisco. I mean, she's tough, and she, I think would take him to task. I don't think Trump would know how to handle her. I mean, I think that's one of the big things. She's tough. She'll be prepared. She'll be disciplined. She'll know how to hit him and get back onto a more aspirational message. Trump, what's he get? I mean, I'll get the popcorn out because I don't think he would know. He would overstep. He would be obnoxious. I think he would have his hands full with someone like Kamala Harris.
Oh, she was tough on Biden in the debates. We remember last time around in the primaries. Congressman Tim Ryan, thank you for coming on. We appreciate it tonight.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.